Hello, students in grade 3 and 4. This is your Bible story, lesson 3.3, and the title is Solomon Builds a Temple to the Lord. You can find this story in your Bible in 1 Kings chapter 5 through 9 and in 2 Chronicles chapter 2 through 7. God had not allowed King David to build a temple in Jerusalem because David was a man of war. However, David had prepared a plot of land in the city for his son Solomon to build the temple and gathered some of the building materials that he would need. Before he died, David gave Solomon the plans and instructions for building the temple. "Be strong and courageous, and do the work, for the Lord is with you," David told Solomon. "He will not fail you or forsake you until all the work is finished." When Solomon became king, he bought expensive timber from King Hiram of Tyre. 30,000 workers were conscripted, that means hired, to work in shifts cutting trees in Lebanon. Large cedar trees and juniper trees were then floated down the coast to Joppa. After that, they were hauled overland to Jerusalem. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hills, managed by 3,300 foremen. They quarried large blocks of high-grade stone and chiseled them into shape before transporting them to the temple. In this way, no hammer, chisel, or iron tool was heard at the temple site while it was being built. The temple was 27 meters long, 9 meters wide, and 14 meters high. The inside walls were lined with cedar boards. On the walls around the temple were carvings of angels, palm trees, and open flowers. The inner sanctuary was overlaid inside with pure gold. The floors of the inner and outer room were also covered with gold. Gold was used to create the altar, the table for bread, the lampstands, and the other furnishings. There was gold floral work, large golden cherubim, golden lamps and tongs, pure gold basins, wick trimmers, sprinkling bowls, dishes, and censers. The silver and gold furnishings that King David had dedicated were brought into the temple. Top craftsmen who worked with bronze were hired from King Hiram to make 2 large pillars for the portico of the temple. A large wash basin stood on top of 12 bronze bowls. 10 movable stands and basins were also crafted in bronze. It took 7 years to complete this work on the temple. The elders and a huge number of people were assembled at a holiday feast to watch as the Ark of the Covenant was brought into the temple. It was put in the most holy place right under the wings of the cherubim. When the priests withdrew from the holy place, the cloud of the glory of the Lord filled the temple, and it was so overwhelming, the priests were hardly able to perform their jobs. Then Solomon blessed the people and praised God. "The Lord has kept his promise to David, and I have built the temple for the name of the Lord," he declared. He stood before the altar with his arms spread, then knelt and prayed. "May your eyes look at this temple night and day and hear our prayers. Hear from heaven, and when you hear, forgive." The king then told the congregation, "May the Lord be with us as he was with our ancestors and never leave us or forsake us. May he turn our hearts to be fully obeying his commands." 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats were offered as a sacrifice. When Solomon had built the temple and his own palace, God spoke to him. I have consecrated this temple by putting my name there forever. If you obey me, you will never fail to have a successor on the throne of Israel. But if you or your descendants turn away from me and worship other gods, I will cut them off from the promised land, and this temple will become a heap of rubble. And that's the end of the story. You may now look for your worksheet, lesson 3.3. There are two parts to it. First, you have a word search that you can do, and on the back of the sheet are just a few fill in the blank questions. This is the end of the lesson.